What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Strength to the Foundation. And today we're going to have a look at the bench press arch. And don't worry if you don't have the flexibility of this person. Let's have a look. Okay, so let's have a look at the reasons for the arch. So first of all, it reduced the range of movement, the distance that you have to move the bar. And of course, in powerlifting, you're trying to lift the most amount of weight for the least range of movement within the parameters and rules of the sport. So we're trying to reduce that range of movement. So by having a higher chest, i.e. an arch, the distance between chest and the bar in which you have to press it is going to be reduced. The other reason is it gives you a biomechanical advantage. If you think about the pecs and how they are structured, the fibers run in kind of like a fan shape down here. Okay, so like this. So muscles contract in the direction of their fibers. So if you ever done a decline bench press, you probably if you train flat bench and decline bench, you're probably going to find that you can press more on the decline than you can on the flat. And the reason for that is because you're in a better position to push this way, because that's the direction of the fibers that the fibers actually contract. So it gives you that advantage. And also, finally, it keeps your shoulders safe. You're pinning them down, locking them down, and keeping them stable on that bench, so they are safe. Those are the three reasons for the arch. Now, there are a few myths about the lower back, and I can completely understand that, because if you look around the internet, you see stuff like this, okay, where it's an enormous arch, and you'll see loads of comments saying, "Oh my goodness, your spine, you're gonna hurt your back, etc., etc." Okay, so that's a bit of an exaggeration over there in terms of that picture. I think it was just done as a bit of a joke. But right, so let me just dispel that myth in terms of the arch. So you are arching in a way to keep the shoulders safe and to transfer, well, the weight or the load is actually transferring through the shoulders and upper back. There is actually no weight on the spine. Okay, so in this bent position, of course, in this position here, it's because I've got a big backside and quite a big thick back, so that's why there's quite a big gap between on my lower back here. And plus, the lumbar spine naturally is an extension anyway. It's shaped this way. Okay, it naturally goes that way. So it's a natural position for the lower back. I don't mean this. I mean this. Yeah. So having my feet flat on the floor and having my shoulders on the bench and my backside on the bench, it's going to create that. And it's understandable that someone looking at this will think, "Oh, your back's not safe." But all of the extension is actually, or mobility and flexibility is coming from my upper back and shoulders, not from me. That's just a natural position when you put your feet on the floor and you've got your backside on the bench. And incidentally, I'm pushing back this way. Problems will arise, and I see this a lot of times in the gym. Problems will arise when the hips start to rise off the bench, because then you're driving up and you are putting some stress on the spine, because you're hyperextending the spine to get that weight up. So when it gets difficult, I see a lot of guys lift the hips off the bench, and that's when it can become dangerous for your back. Whereas with this position where my hips stay put, and I'm pushing back that way. So if I'm pushing back that way, there's no way my hips can go up that way. So that's a common mistake that people make when they're benching. They push up, hips come up. In competition, that's actually a red light, so it will be a no lift for doing that. But the load is actually coming through the upper back, not through the spine. So I'll just quickly show you the setup and performance of the bench press here. So what I'm doing is I'm digging my upper back into the bench here. Let me just pause that and show you a little band. So I put a band across here because this particular bench is a bit slidey. So because I'm creating so much tension with my upper back and with my legs, I sometimes slide. Even chalking my upper back doesn't work as well because the vinyl here is really kind of slippy. So to get around that, that's why I put a band across here. In competition, it's never a problem because the benches, the competition benches in the IPF, the quality is a lot higher. So therefore, you tend to stick on the bench anyway. Okay, so I'm digging my shoulder blades into the bench. I've got my arm's length here, got my hips up, and I'm literally trying to squeeze myself under that bar to create as much tension as I can and raise my chest up as high as I can, okay, to get that reduced range of movement, okay? So once I get myself underneath there, I'll adjust my feet. So I've taken the bar, adjust my feet back. So now, in this position here, I'm creating like a coiled spring, yeah? So I've got, if you look at my legs are on, okay? I'm pushing, remember I told you I'm pushing back that way, yeah? I'm not pushing up, I'm pushing backwards. So I'm pushing backwards and my upper back is sticking to the bench. So I'm creating like a coiled spring of energy to propel that bar upwards. So, shoulders stay tight, legs are on, constant leg drive, and then I'll press. So bar will come down onto the chest and drive. And as I'm driving up, my legs are on. Yeah, I'm constantly driving backwards with my legs. And I'll tell you something, after a bench press session, my quads are on fire. And that's how you know you've done it right. When you know that you're using your legs properly. Okay, so I talked about the lower back or the lumbar spine actually not being the factor in terms of creating your arch, because the arch is created by something called the T-spine or the thoracic spine. So I'll show you what that is in a second. Okay, so here's a picture of the spine. So you've got the cervical spine, which is the bones of the neck. You've got the lumbar spine, which is lower back, and the 12 bones in between is your thoracic spine. For simplicity, I just call it the T-spine. We're trying to influence the bones, or sort of the area in between the shoulder blades, because this is the area here that we want to create extension and tightness so that we can create that arch. So it comes from here. So it's not about this, it's about this. So the first thing we need to do is create some kind of mobility in our T-spines, in our thoracic spines. And I've got a few really good movements here that can help you. First one is you get a foam roller, and let's just put it back a little bit here. Let's just play that just from there. Okay, so the first thing I'm doing here is I'm stacking my rib cage above my pelvis. Okay, the key here is to ensure that I get very little movement around here, and most of the movement happens here. Okay, so I know that this part is moving here, but I'm not going beyond that. So I want to get movement around this area here, which is in between the shoulder blades. You can adjust yourself if you don't feel it's quite right. Make sure you get the foam roller right here in between the shoulder blades. I've interlaced my fingers, and I am literally rolling backwards and forwards while maintaining tightness in here between the rib cage and the pelvis. I'm trying to keep my core on, so it's not loose here. Here is tight, because otherwise it's actually going to negate the effectiveness of the movement. And I've actually got the wrong way to do it here, so let's forward it a little bit. Yeah, this is the wrong way to do it. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm letting everything, oops, let's go back a bit more. Oh, that's the correct way to do it. Right, that's the wrong way. You see what happens? I've let everything go loose here, and what happens here is like the whole thing is opening up. Yeah, so my rib cage is opening up, and if you didn't know what you're doing, you'd be thinking, oh look, I've got amazing T-spine mobility, but you haven't. All the movement is here, your lumbar spine, which is meant to move. It's meant to go into extension. That's the way it's made. So therefore, if you do it this way by keeping everything loose here, you're not going to get the effect that you want. So you're not going to mobilize your T-spine. So just to make a note of that, keep that nice and tight so you reduce the movement here and in your lower back. There is another movement here, and it's called, I just call it the foam roller child's pose. The child's pose is a really lovely movement in yoga where, you know, you go into this kneeling position, arms above your head. So that's kind of like, imagine an overhead press. So, you know, your head goes through the hole. That's a cue that I use when you're overhead pressing. Head goes through the hole, and that really opens up really nicely on your upper back and your chest. So it opens that up really, really nicely. So what I'll do is I'll just roll backwards and forwards here and open up and just sit in that child's pose just for a split second to open up my upper back. And that gives you a really, really nice feeling, and it mobilizes everything. It gets you ready for the next bit. Now the next part is really helpful. It's called the Protract Retract. The first thing you do is grab a dowel. Yeah, I've just got this little pole here, nice little light pole, and I've got the grip width is very similar to the width that I use on my bench press. So I'm holding the bar here. I've got my elbows locked out straight as if I'm holding a heavy weight in my hands. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to protract my shoulder blades, like fan my shoulder blades out, and then I'm going to retract and depress my shoulder blades. So that's going to teach me how to control the shoulder blades and build the arch. So let's just see how this works. Let's retract and depress. You can see how the chest comes out, but we've got a better angle from the side. You'll actually see this in a minute. So I'm holding that for about 5 seconds. Protract, then retract and depress. See how the shoulders come down and the chest comes up. We can have a look at this from the side. I've got a nice side view of this. Again, a 5-second hold. Here we go. So that's a protract, and then I retract and depress my shoulder blades. So notice how, look how my chest comes up, shoulder blades come down, chest pops up. One thing you can help yourself with, you can imagine someone's got a like fishing rod, and they've hooked your sternum, and you're popping your sternum up, because what you're trying to do is increase that rate or increase that chest cavity so that you reduce that range of movement. So if I look, let's just run that back there, and we'll look from the side in a second. So look at the distance between the bar and my chest, and now when I protract, look at the distance. There's a much bigger distance, and when I retract and depress, bang, I've reduced that distance. So that's reducing the range of movement that you'll have to press the bar. So if you get this right, keep that nice and tight and pop that chest up. So imagine fishing rod on your sternum, pop up the chest. That's the sort of thing that you need to keep in your head while you're doing this movement. So protract the shoulder blades, fan them out, retract, squeeze together, and depress, pop up the chest. So this is a really nice warm-up after you've done your mobility warm-up on your foam roller. Now this is a good angle from the back here. I just want to show you this really quickly, and that is your trapezius. It's in three parts. You've got your trap ones, or your upper trapezius, your transverse trapezius, or your mid traps, which is trap 2. And your trap 3 are your they're the parts of the trapezius which actually aid scapular depression. So these are the guys. So if I just press here, so these are the guys that are actually working when I retract and depress. Those are the chaps that are actually on and working. There's a few exercises they're called bilateral trap 3s or unilateral trap 3s. I've got a video for that later. I'll do that in a later video. And that specifically works that muscle here to aid your T-spine mobility and to help you lock your shoulders in place for when you are doing your bench press. So that's a view from the back. So that's your protract, retract. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take it to the bench. Okay, so we do the protract, retract, and we're actually going to get ourselves into the position on our bench press. Okay, so remember what I told you about constant leg drive, dropping the shoulders down, yeah, and we're going to start with an empty bar, okay, but we're going to perform the protract retract that we did with the dowel with the empty bar. So let's just run that. So here I'm retracting and depressing the scapula, protract, retract, and depress. See how that chest pops up every time. So if I protract there and then I retract and depress, see the chest pops up. So therefore that distance between the bar and the chest when I press it is going to be reduced. So that is on the bench there. I've got another angle right here so you can see it better. Protract, retract, and depress. See how the chest pops up. Remember, constant leg drive here. So imagine that you're on the bench doing your normal bench press set. However, what we're actually doing here instead is we're just doing the protract, retract. You must use an empty bar. Don't bother putting any weight on here because we're just trying to train the T-spine to operate in a way which is going to depress or retract and depress and hold. So the takeaways from this, so let's just start with, let's have a look here. So that's the T-spine foam roller. So what we'll do is, with this, I would do 2 sets of 15 to 20 reps on this. And that's for your nice T-spine. Remember to hold tightness around the midsection here. Don't get loose here, and don't let that lumbar spine take over. The next one, same again, 2 sets, 15 to 20 reps of your child's pose. Next thing we'll do is we'll do 5 reps, 5-second hold, 2 to 3 sets of your protract retract with a dowel. Okay, and then lastly, do same again, 5 reps, 5-second hold, 2 to 3 sets of your protract retract with the empty bar. Let me know how you're getting on in the comments. Drop me a comment and I'll see you again soon. So if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. Oh yeah.